Welcome to episode 3 of my Rive morphing course. Today we are going to look at the state machine. That scary thing called the state machine, which is actually not so scary once you get to know it, like anything in life. I hope you enjoy and see you on the lesson. Now we've got our basic character animation set up. I think it's time that we go over and look at the basic morphing. So first thing we want to do is we want to create an animation for every character. Let's call this one Jim because his name is Jim. And then we're going to create another one called Tom. And then later when we create our third character, we're just going to duplicate one of these. It's just going to make life a bit easier. So first things first, let's set up the state machine. So go and make yourself a cup of coffee, pause this video and come back. And then we're going to get into the state machine magic. Welcome back. I hope you've got your coffee. And it is very strong. So the state machine, how do we do this? So first thing, we set up our UI here with the hitboxes. We're going to be using the hitboxes to drive the animation between these different animations that's going to morph. The basic state machine we've got set up here is just says entry and then it goes to the basic animation. So if I play it, it just goes there and it goes there and it loops there and it stays there, and we're happy with that. Everything's very big happiness in that regard. So we're just going to take this one and we're going to rename it to basic animation. Then we're going to create another one. Now this is the one where the morphing is going to take place. We're going to call this one morphing. This one we're going to set up slightly different. We're going to use this one here any state. Don't worry about the entry or the exit. You can put them over there. They're not invited to this party. Then the first thing we need to do is we need to set up listeners. Now a listener is basically what it says it is. It listens. It's an area where it listens for an event to take place. Okay, let me just show you. The best way is to do it and to practice this. Because in the beginning it's a bit confusing and complicated, but after a while it's going to become second nature. So I just clicked what I did here. Let me do it again so you can follow along. What I did is I selected this hitbox Jim in the UI. Then I click the plus button to create a listener. Now if we go to the right here, you can see there's a target that says Jim. So the listener is targeting this area. Then we get pointed down or pointer enter. If we click down here, we want pointed down. Pointed down is just a fancy programmer's way of saying click the mouse. So we want that. So now we've set the basic listener up. But now we need an input. We don't have any inputs yet. The input is going to give us the parameter for the listener. So we want a number input because we've got quite a few numbers of listeners that we're going to create. So let's just go to number and we call this one, let's call it morph_number. Okay. Then we go to Jim, select input morph number. Let's call Jim 0. Then we're going to create another listener and call it Tom. The nice thing with Rive is if you name your hitboxes there and you click a listener, it's going to take that name. So we don't have to worry about renaming it. So we just go to pointer down, select input. So we're referencing the input here, morph number. But this one we want 1. So it's a different number. So for Jim, we're targeting this one and point it down, and it's set to number 0. Then for Tom, we're targeting this hitbox and the number is set to 1. This will all make sense now. If I put Jim in here and I put Tom in here. Okay, now that we've added the 2 animation timelines here, now we need to create an interaction. And this is very easy. Just go to the any state and just drag this line out there, and then another one from the any state to Tom. Now the magic happens when you click on this little arrow here. So this little arrow is like a gate. It needs a password for you to go to Jim. So it's basically now on any state, which means it's basically looping this animation, and it needs a password to get to Jim. What is the password to go to Jim? Let's have a look. The listener for Jim says 0. So the password is 0. So we go here, condition, morph number 0. That is all there is to it. Then Tom, it's the same thing. The condition for Tom, the password to play Tom is, we go to the listener and we see that is 1. So we just put a 1 in here. And now it should work. But let's just animate something so we can see if everything works. Let's just go here up to the, we just go up here and we just put fill on the artboard on frame 0. Make sure you're on frame 0. When you animate these morphing characters, you don't want to be animating on anywhere else in the timeline. You want to be sure that you're on frame 0. That's very important. Okay, let's go to Tom. And then the fill there, we want to change it to this here. I just put the little sketch I made for Tom here as well, so it's easy for me to reference it. Okay, let's see if our state machine works. It's just a test. And it works. Everything's working perfectly. You'll see when we start doing these morphings, we're going to test the state machine constantly. Go back and forth. Whenever you make a change, just check if everything works. So this is an important step. So you might have noticed that it works, but the problem is there's no interpolation. There's no morphing. It just goes from the one to the next. How do we solve that problem? Very, very easy. We just go here where these little arrows are, and then duration. We increase that. So if we make it 250, it's going to be 1/4 of a second. So we go in each one of them and make it 250. And now when I play the state machine, it should see it. It's got a nice transition. But we can even take it a step further. What we can do here, select both of them, then give it cubic interpolation. Now it's not just going to be a linear transformation. It's actually going to have some nice easing. And what I usually do is I make it quite explosive. So I give it a fast ramp in the beginning by bringing these handles up here. So remember what we said previously, if your handles are steep, it goes fast, and if it's steep in the horizontal way, or actually shallow here, then it goes slow. So we've got this fast movement and then it goes slow. It makes it explosive, and it works quite nice for these morphing animations. So there we have it. So this is the first step in the morphing done. Now we just need to actually go in and morph all the different parts, which we will do in the next lesson. I hope you enjoyed this one.